All right, everybody, welcome to the live stream. Welcome to the last full day of spring during this neo-renaissance. As solar activity increases a little bit, 10.7 centimeter radio flux back up to 68. We're going to talk gamma rays, polarized ones. We're going to talk about variable stars and other stuff too. So here's a view of the sun, 304 angstroms. We see 0 sunspots and a very low level of activity. Let's look at another view here. How about 171 angstroms? And there you have not a lot going on. We're just going to show the colored magnetogram also, and then we're going to move on to other stuff, as there's a lot of stuff to cover, as there typically is on these daily videos. So if you're not watching them every day, well, why not? Anyway, very weak situation on the sun. Solar minimum conditions persist. 10.7 centimeter radial flux back up to 68. Still very low. And let's move on to the real-time solar wind. We've seen a recent downtick in the solar wind density right here. So we're down to about 6 protons per cubic centimeter. Phi angle holding around 255. And a recent uptick in the solar wind speed. So that's an indication that a coronal hole wind stream has just arrived. And we're talking about the high velocity portion of it. If you want to watch this throughout the day, there are links in the description. Watch the speed as it rises and the density continues to drop. Next, we're going to look at the Magnetosphere movies, as we are about 1 day from the summer solstice in the northern hemisphere, or obviously the winter one in the southern hemisphere. Here's a Magnetosphere movie showing the density. We did see some striations there at the beginning. Nothing to really write home about there. Keep in mind, white is low density and blue is high density on this University of Michigan geospace model. Here's the pressure. And we're seeing a massive disparity in pressure here. Bow shock versus magnetotail. So on the leading edge side right here, you see a lower pressure than the magnetotail, indicating the Earth is in a discharging state. The global electric circuit giving up charge. So watch that throughout the day if you like. As the solar wind velocity increases, that's going to experience some fluctuations. Next, we're going to look at the geospace ground magnetic perturbations. As the pole excursion continues, we see major perturbations over eastern Canada, limited perturbations over the Siberian North Pole. If you weren't aware, the planet has 2, and the net of those is someplace around Svalbard. Also, the South Pole is creeping into the southern Indian Ocean. Check out smAsho.org if you haven't already. And thanks to our latest Patreon, it makes a huge difference. And now we've got 6. And then there were 6. The tier is only $1, folks. We're trying to get more people to tune in, as there's some important information coming out on our channel every day that isn't covered anyplace else. If you're wondering about what the mission is to assist, study, and report on the ongoing formation of a unified theory of physics. Also, to raise the awareness of the general public of the relationship between space weather and Earth effects. If you weren't aware, your weather comes from space. Welcome to space. Have a nice day. To connect and consult with media organizations to multiply our reach. We're yet to get on a national level show and plug ourselves, but it's gonna happen, so stay tuned. To demonstrate cutting-edge proof of concept solutions to problems, which has already been going on for a solid year. And our daily space weather videos have come out for more than a year, and we have yet to do our 1-year space weather video every day celebration video, but it's going to happen. If you've got suggestions, please leave a comment. Also, to publish scientific papers in a multidisciplinary fashion. to assist mankind by advancing the study of predictive phenomenon in order to optimize value, reduce risk and liability, save lives and resources, and adapt no matter what the adversity is. And to not be ossified on our beliefs, and to treat those who are with love, respect, and inclusion to the scientific discussion. As a lot of people don't understand the physics, and we'd prefer if they did. Enough said on that. Please visit our affiliate links, one of which is in the description, all of which are in the description, in fact. The Hemp Lucid Store, our Spaced Out campaign, specifically for our Spaced Out viewers. So again, visit the links in the description box below the video. And get yourself some CBD products. If you've got chronic pain, for instance, how about a whole plant water soluble CBD? Or how about the whole plant CBD and hemp seed oil, 30% off the 1,000 milligram? Or if you want THC free, and by the way, these are all almost THC free, but the Isoterp CBD is certified THC free. This formulated specifically for athletes who don't want THC. The Calci products. Also, you've got the whole plant CBD supporting products. These are all full spectrum products such as edible gummies. I know Nick DiPaolo loves those. Shout out Nick DiPaolo if you're watching. Also, soft gel caps. They got lip balm, which I gotta try this out. I'm a huge lip balm connoisseur. Although I've stopped using it because my diet is so good that I don't need it, even in the coldest winter conditions. Also, body creams and CBDs for your pets. So the cat fish flavor one's 30% off. Again, check the links in the description. Also visit our sponsor for cycling, which is theveloshop.net. Theveloshop.net, official bike shop of the Lehigh Valley Velodrome. Run by elite world level racer Becky Quinn, pictured here. They will hook you up with the ultimate bike fit. So let's talk about bike fit for once. We rarely do. If your saddle's too low, you're probably experiencing pain in the front of your knees after a long ride. So raise your saddle so you have about a 20-degree angle at the bottom of your downstroke. You want your leg to be bent about 20 degrees at the bottom of your downstroke, not straight, because if it's straight, you will experience pain in the back of your knee as you reach too low for the pedal. So anyway, Becky does offer a bike fitting service, which is $225 for regular bikes, $250 for time trial rigs, and free if you buy a bike. So buy a bike. She'll make sure it fits perfectly, adjusting things such as saddle height, position, angle, stem length, etc., possibly handlebar width, gearing, and so on to fit your proper stuff. Here's some testimonials. Theveloshop.net. Thanks for supporting us, subscribers, donors, etc. GoFundMe campaign ends on Friday, and we don't care. We've only raised 1%. 1% of our raising budget, as we are punching way up as we usually do. Also, check out the audio links here. You got a bunch of tracks here on soundclick.com/goldencatproductions, where we link back to the YouTube channel where the main information is. Also, there's a SoundCloud page. Links also to that music in the description. Some available for purchase to add to your MP3 collection, some only for stream. Welcome to the solar minimum during the neo-renaissance. Noctilucent clouds are chilling out a little bit. They look like they're inversely proportional to the 10.7 centimeter radial flux, which again is back up to 68. Anyway, check out spaceweather.com. Always some interesting information there. Everything from cosmic rays to near-Earth objects. So we won't go on with that anymore. We'll just go to spaceweathernews.com and keep covering the actual conditions of things, the important stuff that many folks are not aware is running their lives. If you're interested in economics, I invite you to realize that the sun is the chief economic indicator measurable from our planet. We see a flatlined X-ray flux, as we always do during solar minimum. Again, solar wind speed ramping up just after the density drops down. So we see a standard issue coronal hole wind stream hitting the magnetosphere right now. Keep an eye on that throughout the day. The speed will probably rise up to about 450. That's my official guess. So we will see an increase in the KP index also. I expect that to go up to 3, but not 4. And there's a magnetometer. We're getting these little spikes in this now as there's a little turbulence in the plasma environment, not particularly related to the coronal hole wind stream, but involved with the immediate portion of the magnetosphere of the sun. Electron flux is low, as we typically see during a coronal hole wind stream. And once again, lowest levels in a solid week there for the electron flux. Yet we still see charging hazards, folks. Charging hazards. Are electrons coming out of the ground? Leave a comment if you think they are or aren't, or if you have no idea. And we see the F2 layer is even more discharged than it was yesterday. About what you'd expect. If you are located in the southern hemisphere, please leave us a comment if it is extremely cold and stormy on your solstice, as your F layers are extremely discharged. Check it out. There it is. Sun side, going into summer, extremely discharged. Night side, going into winter, extremely discharged. Welcome to the ionosphere. Your radio propagation is going to suck. If you're trying to send a shortwave message to a different continent right now, it's probably not going to work out for you. Here's the aurora forecast, which is surprisingly high. Congratulations, electrons are coming out of the ground at nighttime. Here's the total electron content forecast. This is talking about the portion of electrons between you and things like GPS satellites. And you see there are practically none there. But with auroras that big, there are some somewhere, aren't there? Ah, yes. So we're not going to cover high school physics. We're just going to keep moving on because there's too much stuff to talk about. So let's go to solarham.net, as they have a ton of quality info there, such as a synoptic map, where I'll demonstrate how there's nothing really to be seen except a couple diffuse coronal holes there. So there you go. That's from today, about 4 hours ago, thanks to Cook, the forecaster. Let's look at the Gong 2. I would note the B field is pretty uniform on the Earth-facing side there. Not a lot to comment on there. We're going to look at the top view ecliptic plane field plot also. There you have that. And those striations in the magnetometer are because of this region right here that we've been talking about for the last 3 days. It is being affected by the North Pole, the solar polar north field shown in green. And yeah, that's just magnetohydrodynamics, folks, as there's a lot of plasma in the corona of the sun. And so we can expect to see continued fluctuations in the GOES magnetometer as measured by the 14 and 15. That's the GOES 14 and 15. So major fluctuations in everything going on right now, at least an increase in solar activity. We're going to not even look at stereo A, which for you new viewers, for you new viewers who understand the English language and people who are able to speak it, stereo A is located about here where my pointer is. And we use that to look at solar flares, but there ain't no solar flares going on right now, folks. Just a little bit of plasma activity. And here's where the planets and so forth are located in our glorious solar system. Shout out Milky Way Galaxy team. And if you're viewing from a different galaxy, solar system, spaceship, universe, plane of existence, please leave a comment, as we want to know where you are. And no, there will not be drone strikes. There will be no drone strikes coming. Here's where things will be in 1 week. As the moon wanes and we creep up on Saturn, there's going to be a lot of great stuff in the sky, such as right now you've got the moon and Saturn once again, as it was yesterday, not quite as close together. And if you got a low horizon, Venus is just rising. If you're located in my portion of the planet, if you've got amazing telescope photographs of Venus coming over the horizon, please let us know and leave a comment with links. We will feature it on the channel. And on that note, let me talk for a moment about our donors. If you would like to be listed by name or by some kind of a nickname as a producer, we're going to make an animation of our producers list. So please send an email, smashomash@gmail.com, or if you want to sponsor the cycling team, as we are still, I believe, looking for more corporate sponsors for the jerseys. So again, please let us know if you want to be listed as a producer of the show, whether you'll be able to affect the content. We're not exactly sure, but the content will continue. Anyway, let's look at cosmic rays here real quick, as quickly as we can. Here's a Patati. It's neutron monitor. And there's Barentsburg, a precipitous uptick recently following a precipitous downtick at Barentsburg. Check it out. Also, let's look at Athens. We look at about 6 or 7 monitors here. Here's Athens, nothing to write home about there. Here's Mexico City's neutron monitor. Coming off the highs. Here's Moscow. Also ramping down there, it looks like. As it looks like cosmic rays remain inversely proportional to solar activity. Is it a causal feature? We're not sure, but it's definitely a correlational feature. Here's Oulu, Finland. See a slow up ramp there, but not at the highest levels by any means. Here's DOMC Antarctica, flat for the most part there, and here's DOMC Antarctica. We actually did see the highest level there in the past week, measured yesterday. I'm sorry, measured on the 12th. But that's pretty old data, so let's just move on to more stuff, such as our social media. Please follow us on Twitter if it makes it easier for you to share the videos with your peeps. Although I don't tweet, and I'm not going to start. Check us out on facebook.com/smashomash. For the most highly politically hacked and censored comment you could possibly imagine on the internet, and the worst software you've ever seen in your life. As we do take exception to some of the things that go on and fail to go on Facebook. But I don't want to complain too much about people like Mark and Mark's algorithms and Mark's employees. Because here's where they are. They're right here. See that? See that Venn diagram, folks? I want to talk about project management for a moment. And project management is what affects the way our channel operates. So since you can't have all three, you notice the way they don't overlap in the middle? This is where Facebook lies. It's fast, it's cheap, and it's junk. For any project you want to do, you don't get all three. So if you want it to be slow, but good and cheap, then you can have that. Or if you want it to be expensive and fast and good, you can have that. Or if you want to be junky and fast and cheap, barely functional, like Facebook, Apple, Google, and Twitter's software, it'll be down in this despicable zone of the Venn diagram, or it will be bad, but it'll be fast and cheap. So if that's okay with you, then whatever. Anyway, follow us on Instagram for useful information such as this, as well as things like the location of those New Zealand quakes. Is it a volcano? Is it magmatic activity? Let's hope not. Also follow us on Gab, which I'm going to tweet, just not on Twitter, because Gab is an alternative. Also on Minds, open source social media, which will not censor you. And if you're any good, you might even earn crypto. Not that we do, but we do have 456,000 views with our measly 703 subscribers. If you look at those ratios, you'll find it very interesting. Also, please like and subscribe. Please like and subscribe on YouTube. Press the notification bell and laugh at Eric Schmidt as he tries to censor us, as we have our own servers as well, such as smAsho.com. Earthquake uptick, folks. Earthquake uptick.
Giassi coming to the 2K mark now halfway.
Holy crap, it's bike racing. All right, let's do an earthquake rundown. We're going to do everything over a 4.4 in the past 24 hours or so. So here's a 4.4 at Chile at depth. Heads up South America for a larger quake at the surface. Another 4.6 at New Zealand as it continues. 4.9 at New Zealand at 94 kilometers depth. Not New Zealand, Papua New Guinea. My mistake. Papua New Guinea. Just north of Australia there. 4.9 at depth. Heads up for a larger quake at the surface. 4.3 at New Zealand. Looks closer to the island. Let's zoom in, as it would be interesting. Oh, check it out. Very close to the shore. New quake location there. Please leave a comment if you felt that quake in New Zealand. Good job having well-made buildings, by the way. And I would suggest that if you live in an earthquake-prone zone, folks, that you have a plan, because we want you to be an asset, not a liability, in the event of a disaster. So yeah, that 4.3, very close to the coast there, and we see an uptick in quakes here. There is a ton of quakes on the list, so we're just going to try to go up the list as fast as possible. 4.8 at Russia, 4.7 at Japan, 6.3 at Indonesia. Let's hope no tsunamis were generated. Please leave a comment if you are aware. 4.9 at Peru, at depth there. So surface earthquake risk increased at South America. Watch out for low pressures. Here's a 4.9. That one farther north of New Zealand. Here's a 5.8 at Vanuatu. So there you go. Solar minimum earthquake uptick, folks. 4.2 at Greece, the first time we've seen a quake there in quite a while. I think that's about a week since the last one in that area, which was in Albania, if I remember correctly. Here's a 4.9 in Vanuatu. 4.5 at Tonga at 267 kilometers depth, as we've been seeing very deep quakes around Tonga and Fiji for months, as well as the largest deep quake ever measured less than a year ago. Here's a 4.7 in Indonesia. 5.5 at Argentina, another deep quake. South America heads up for a larger quake at the surface there. Here's a 5.0 at the Philippines. At a major plate boundary there, the site of a lot of seismic and volcanic activity. Here's a 4.2 at Afghanistan at depth. Heads up Middle Eastern type folk for a larger quake at the surface at Afghanistan. Look at that, a 4.2. Depth is 183.4 kilometers. If you don't understand earthquake forecasting, please check out quakewatch.net. 5.0 at New Zealand. In between the two zones we've been seeing, heads up New Zealand, you are in the crosshairs. Let us know if a photograph of your mother-in-law fell off the wall and smashed on the floor and you rejoiced. Here's a 4.8 at the West Chilean rise out toward Easter Island in a very desolate part of the world. If you felt that, I'd be very surprised. Here's a 5.2 at Fiji at 622 kilometers. If that occurred at the surface, that would be a 6.5 quake. Super deep. Let's look at the location of that one, as it's exceedingly deep. And let's break out the chat, as we've just entered the That's What She Said section. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. It seems like we're gaining viewership, yet not gaining subscribers. How do you like that? You think it's a scam? You think YouTube's a scam? Please leave a comment. Ah, Grizzly, yes, tuning in during the third shift. Way to optimize your data input. Nice. Getting paid for watching smAsho stream live. Milky Way Galaxy team for the win. Harry Wire states, do I know that the angle of the dangle is equal to the fall of the ball? I don't know, but if I were him, I wouldn't stand on the edge of the Pacific Rim, if you know what I mean. Thanks again, everybody, for tuning in and leaving a comment. We really appreciate it. Just give me 1 minute. I'm going to get through the chat here, and I will be right back, continuing on with the earthquakes. I like what you said about your spell check being bloody rigged, Eden, because spell check is so messed up. I mean, think about how bad speech-to-text software is. Google software barely works. Dragon had perfect software in 1997. And by 2000, Dragon's software was perfect. So think about how pathetic it is that Google can't even write speech-to-text software. Apple, Facebook, Google, and Twitter, your time is limited. So I don't know if your spell check is bloody rigged. I would never blame stupidity and ignorance on a conspiracy, because it's a hell of a lot more likely that these companies are incompetent, not that these companies are trying to take over the world. You know why? Because they can't. The internet can break them, but they can't break the internet. Sorry, big tech. The more you try to ruin the internet, the more of the sands of time slip through your fingers and you lose your grip. All right, we gotta go through more stuff, because there's more stuff to cover. And I would take this moment to note that you folks need to join us tomorrow for the solstice, as we are going to be live during the solstice. We want to be the first folks in the world to wish you a happy summer. All right, let's try to get through this, as there is a lot of stuff to cover. And we are almost through. Here's a 5.6 at Tonga and a 5.3 at the South Sandwich Islands, another odd place for a quake. Check it out. And let's move on. There's a lot of stuff going on as crustal displacement freaks you the hell out. Check out tsunami.gov if you're worried about tsunamis. They might even warn you if one's about to occur. Let's look at the jet stream over the U.S., which is totally jacked up. We've got wind blowing the wrong way over Canada and so on, and a very strong series of meridional jet stream flows in the southern hemisphere. I don't want to really give anybody a boner over it, because I'm sick of covering it, and there's still lots of other stuff to cover. So let's continue to move on to the U.S. Doppler radar. And we're looking at yesterday's weather here for some reason, as sometimes this thing refreshes by itself, sometimes it doesn't. Here's the current U.S. Doppler radar. And this time, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, Arkansas, and Tennessee are getting hammered with a hammered light in Nebraska. Show you the water vapor map. We're just going to show you the whole country this time, as there's still some stuff to cover here, and I don't really want to be doing this for the rest of the foreseeable universe. Speed that up, show you the water vapor situation. Let us know if you're in the Rockies and it's currently snowing where you're located. I guess it's not really right now, although it could be in northwestern Wyoming. So whatever. It looks like we've just had massive precipitation over Arkansas, Louisiana, and Mississippi. So give us a shout out if you just experienced 4 inches of rain in 2 hours in those areas. We hope your items have not washed away, as flooding continues across the whole country and food prices continue to escalate as people can't plant anything in standing water. We're not going to really wade into the weeds anymore on that, as there are a million channels doing it, and we're just trying to cover all the data instead. Ah, geez. So let's do a volcano rundown. Here's Abico back on the list with a 12,000 foot plume there and some explosive activity. Semeru back on the list with a 14,000 foot ash plume there. Please don't fly your homemade ultralight kit aircraft over that, as you will end up dead. Takono producing a 7,000 foot ash plume while exploding. Revenador, 15,000 foot ash plume there. And Sabancaya looks like it's the star of the day. So please don't pole vault Sabancaya's caldera. It's producing a 25,000 foot ash plume. Now we've moved on to that's an ass and that's a hole in the ground section, where we cover various things like wildlife lessons, communism, reasoning, therapy dog canines, retirement, investment in the future, and the mummification of our political figures. Also, if you'd like any graphic design work done, I may even charge you less than $100 per hour to make things like valve stem cutout disc wheel stickers showing your cycling sponsor's shop to make your time trial bike look even more awesome than it already does. Look at some terms. Let's use it in a sentence before defining it. Your local physics teacher cannot explain
mass.
I know it sounds crazy. We're not talking about church. We're talking about the physics term. The property of a body that is a measure of its inertia and that is commonly taken as a measure of the amount of material it contains and causes it to have a weight in a gravitational field, right? Mass is the thing that doesn't change. In other words, the mass of you on Earth and the mass of you on the moon doesn't change. What does change? The weight. We're not going to get into the physics of where mass comes from, as it's not understood in the realm of physics, which is a thing that we pissed off a lot of people in physics class in high school when we made the nuclear physicist who was subbing for our normal teacher explain mass for an entire period. And even though it wouldn't be on the test, We allowed him to amuse us with his non-description of what mass is. Let's talk about weight. It's what it says on a scale as your mass is being affected by a gravitational body. And anyway, if you want to understand more terms like this, read the freaking dictionary. Head to m-w.com/dictionary. Let's talk about the solstice, which happens tomorrow. And again, we're going to be live streaming for it. So it is the longest day of the year as it happens before noon. So yeah, the solstice, it happens at 11:54 Eastern Daylight Time if you're located in the Eastern US. Links in the description to this as well. Where does the seasons begin? When do the seasons begin? What are the seasons? Yada, yada, yada. Rejoice, folks. You're living in a neo-renaissance, and the end of banking is nigh. It has to do with things like crypto and Facebook's rollout and Visa and a lot of other stuff. Links in the description to this as well. And if you're wondering if we'll be transacting in Facebook currency, the answer is no. Not a fan of banks or the Federal Reserve, if you weren't aware. Maybe we'll do a video just about the Federal Reserve sometime. Here's one we couldn't cover yesterday, the go fast, go safe parts you only get on police cars, such as turning on the rear lens and stuff. This is a thing designed to prevent you from getting killed if somebody rear ends you while you're on the side of the road at 75 miles an hour crash. So here's bulletproof door panels. The point is, don't shoot at the police. Their vehicle is way better than yours, most likely. Although if you drive fleet vehicles as I do, their vehicle may be shittier than yours. Pardon the French, folks. We're not going to censor it because Apple, Facebook, Google, and YouTube do plenty of that for us. And I don't know how we got sidetracked, as these articles are yesterday's. So let me clean up my tabs. All right. So gold spikes to a 6-year high as dollar and bond yields plunge. If you don't know what that means, that's a signal of inflation to come. So watch your purchasing power decrease at the same time that food prices go up, exponentially increasing your food prices. When bond yields go down, it indicates purchasing in bonds. So people are trying to hide from various market stimulus by hiding in bonds as well as in crypto. So we're going to cover a little bit of financial stuff here. Going to look at quotes for cryptocurrency here. Going to look at Bitcoin as reported by Coinbase. Here's a 1-year chart of that, sitting very close to the 1-year highs, but not at all-time highs. Also, we're going to look at the Coinbase quote for Ethereum, which is my preferred crypto, if you're wondering. And it looks like we've seen a divergence here between Bitcoin and Ethereum. In my opinion, that's a good thing, as Bitcoin is overvalued, but not as overvalued as Apple, Facebook, Google, and Twitter. And I'm not sure if it's going to load the freaking chart or not. We're just sitting here spinning wheels. Here's the 5-year chart. Next, we're just going to show you gold. Actually, we're going to show you the S&P. Do the 1 year of the S&P, which is the 500 largest stocks in the US, if you weren't aware. Looking pretty overvalued to me, as it consists of a bunch of crappy companies who I wouldn't buy with a 10-foot pole. Please don't consider that investment advice, as I am not currently licensed to give you any. I'm just telling you what I would do. Let's look at some futures here. Look at gold, as it has gone right through a major support level, thanks to the Fed announcing it's going to drop rates. So there's the gold chart. Next, we'll look at silver. Here's a 1-year chart of silver. Barely at 15 bucks. $15.38 an ounce. And let's see what's been going on with wheat. Here's the 1 year of wheat. Little profit taking after a precipitous up spike. And we'll also look at corn. And then we'll get out of here. Same chart, at least for the past month or so. If you weren't aware, we have been warning about price spikes for food prices since February. So if you don't watch the channel, I don't know what to tell you, but we're way, way, way ahead of the game. I started skateboarding in 1983, folks. I didn't do it because it was easy. I did it because it was the hardest thing in the world to do. So anyway, there's the dollar index. As folks are trying to hide in treasury bonds, which is why the yields are down. So get ready for inflation as the Fed prepares to cut rates. And I agree with Peter Schiff that that is what the Fed is going to do. Here's a nonsense article on phys.org. As study predicts more long-term sea level rise from Greenland ice. Why? Because their computer models contain a bunch of garbage. And this is the stuff right here that isn't happening. So here's their brilliant forecast of how this stuff is going to be melting. And it's oh my gosh, it's a GIF animation. Holy crap. You could save this and just make it your desktop for your computer, where you could look at a bunch of nonsense computer models that don't understand the first thing about CO2's effect on the atmosphere. So please check out this article, links in the description, from this phys.org article made of pure crap. Let's move on to first detection of polarized radio waves from gamma ray burst jets. Now, Electric Universe nerds are not surprised by that. Some further reading. This was picked up by the Neil Gorell Swift Bat Observatory, which we look at daily. So links in the description of that. Please read the article if you're not aware of gamma ray bursts. And let's just cover something we don't normally cover. One of the most interesting variable stars here, UV set. There's the transients from it. Again, from the Neil Gorell Swift Bat Hard X-ray Observatory. Links in the description of this. If you've got any object you want to follow, such as, oh, I don't know, Cygnus X3, just type in something like that, and you'll be able to find the transients. There are the transients from Cygnus X3 as it is upticking in the past couple of days. Here's UV SETI and the flare stars. This is an article from AVSO, the American Association of Variable Star Observers. The moral of the story here is that all stars are variable stars, including the one around which you orbit. That one right there. So thanks for tuning in, folks. We are about to get out of here. Again, make sure you come back tomorrow, as we are going to be doing the solstice stream. It's going to be in any chat where we will talk about whatever's happening, if anything, and whatever we want, which will have no format at all. Let me just bring out the chat here. Thanks again for leaving a comment, folks. We appreciate that. And I'm going to try to get through this, as I see there are quite a lot. All right, it's about time now, folks. I would note one more thing. The North Pole coronal hole is shrinking back down again. At the same time, the radial flux is going up, which is a good sign. So thanks again for tuning in, folks. Please visit links in the description to support the channel if possible, as we would prefer these videos to keep coming out just as most of our viewers would. Remember, when you're staring at the sun, don't drink it. If you drink, stare at the sun anyway. Just don't drive. And since it'll never be now again, may the solar wind be at your back and the atherosclerosis absent from your veins.